Good morning and welcome to Office Hours, the show where we answer your technical media production questions. So make sure you get those questions in. We'll talk about how you can do that in just a bit. But Guy, let's get right to it.
All right, first one comes in from Alexander Knight in Port Coquitlam, BC, asking what's the deal with Infocom and how does it differentiate between NAB? What are the general landscape of products, vendors that attend that aren't there at NAB?
Yeah, I was hoping we can talk about this because to be honest with you, I don't really know that much about Infocom, and I know what NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters, is supposed to be about, which is obviously very broadcast heavy. But Infocom, I haven't really paid much attention to it. So Harshid, what do you think?
Okay, so let's trade notes. You know NAB, I know Infocom. I went to Infocom Orlando last year in Orlando, Florida, and this year I'm trying to plan on going to Vegas. However, what is the difference? Well, I don't know. I can't see it. I can only tell you this much is integration is the biggest key in Infocom. So someone that might make a boardroom might want to come to Infocom because you're trying to get a sRG Sony camera or BRC camera. You might want to use Sennheiser, what do you call it, like tabletop mics or podium mics and such that. You may want to use any of the Shure stuff that works in boardrooms, corporate, etc., etc. NAB is broadcasting. This is more so, I think, conference rooms to education to also where I come in with the disability intersection. How do people work? So they have a thing called HEDMA, Higher Education, forget the MA part, associations for the A. But point is they're all different associations, so you could get certified. A lot of people go to Infocom to get certified because their sales is actually those classes that you take. NAB probably does similar things, like you're part of the NAB Association, National Association of Broadcasters. So Infocom is something similar, but it's more for integrators, and you may get DoD, or Department of Defense, aka War. You may get as well as other elements such as speaker companies that come up. So I saw Samsung, Revolution, and Revolution is speakers that you put them in the wall. Samsung had all kinds of flat panel. We have our friend Marty Adius that's on a panel most of the time on Wednesdays, and his company with the flat panel designs, they're out there. So you get to have a different feel. Maybe it's more of that, but maybe you have other feedback what NAB feels like, because I did miss that one.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so it's more about system integrators. Brands like QSys, I'm sure, would
Yes.
probably would fit in that that department for sure. Guy?
Yeah, well done explaining it, Harshid. The layout is similar. You know, you got your booth, you got your folks coming in, but the people and the caliber of people, it's just a little different. Where you might have at NAB some cinema people, some content creators. You're not really going to have that at Infocom specifically. Like, they're not going to that show looking for cameras, even though Blackmagic's one of the biggest booths there. And when I went a couple of years ago, I was shocked at how big their booth was. And then Photo Joseph was there, and I was like, Photo Joseph is more, I think of him as a camera guy, cinema guy, and he was there showing the latency test of at the time it was the G2, when it was able to send a video signal from its encoder internally to another, and he was showing how fast it was. And I was like, that's kind of wild to see that there. But that was their setup in the booth, was see how fast the signal can get from A to B direct from the camera. And so what Harshid was talking about, like this command and control and throwing video signals around from one boardroom to another, that's right up their alley. Netgear switches, you get a lot of LED walls, you get just institutional buyers. So I've exhibited there. I paid for a booth that we exhibited at the time I had the product, the one about the studio. So we paid for an 8x8, and the amount of people, a lot of them were those folks that you see a lot of badges that say CTSD or CT. So Avixa is the entity that handles all of those credentialing for giving installers a certification to show that they know their stuff, that they passed the exams, they passed the test. So a lot of people go there to get those credentials, and then you just see them. They wear them like a badge of honor. I mean, and they deserve them. I mean, I have the book over here. It's hardcore stuff. I mean, it's a little dated. I mean, the new stuff is very IP driven, and that's why you go to these shows. You see the latest and greatest, newest stuff, and you get to talk to the folks. We cruised around with one of the Ivies on a cart and talked to some people, and David Brady knows his stuff, and he was asking some of the vendors some things through the Ivy, and it was really cool to hear the dialogue back and forth, because they were speaking a language. So David Brady's on a whole nother level than me. Like, he really knows his install, and so that's the kind of engineering personality that would love to attend this kind of show.
And how does somebody get in? So, for example, like do they easily give out media passes? Do you have to pay money for a pass to get in? Like, if you just wanted to go there and do interviews, how would you go about doing that?
I believe it's the same. I mean, I've always had somebody who booked my exhibitor badge and everything like that and handled all the credentialing for me. So in the
Hmm.
past for NAB, though, I've done that one myself where you basically have a portal and you just go through and apply. And you do have to get verified. They'll look at your bodies of work. So in our case, last year, I applied for the NAB badge and they already knew who we were. So having the email address was helpful. And then I just sent over the links because in the portal, they say, send us your YouTube channel, send us some of the work like a profile. So on our website, I have a profile. So between those two, I had a slam dunk and got approved.
Nice. And Harshit, I know you have been planning or at least making plans to go. What exactly has been your process?
So my process is exactly how you asked the question. It's basically free. So Pedro G. Gonzalez III, another member of our community, and he's my cam op. We've already signed up our information. Funny enough, he has a funny sense of humor. So he put me down as my occupation as world changer, whatever that means. And then Access JPJ is my new LLC that I'm working on. So I'm not coming in as office hours on this one. I'm actually coming in as Access JPJ this year. Last year I was actually as office hours global, and so again, they've known some of the people like Gabriel Vincent from DPA. I've met him, and then the gentleman that owns Austrian Audio. I didn't realize he was the owner, but me and him were just having a nice chat. And again, it's I think it's Martin Seidel, I think. But anyway, point being is I've seen the people. Now I'm going to be on camera with the people. So the process is we have everything set up from last time from Indy. We've bought the equipment. We do need a transmitter or two from SLD for SLDX system from Shure. That way, if I have my Sennheiser MD46, I could throw a transmitter on it. I already have an SM58. Now we have two handhelds, so I could keep one in my porta brace in my pocket, ready to go. And then secondary, I could give the long-handled MD46 to a guest. Now we got clean audio in a congested, loud maybe area. So that's kind of the idea. And cost-wise, just hotel, flight, and food are the only factors to go green.
Right. And I don't have her contact information, but I think it was Laura,
Laura
right, from
Davidson.
Shure.
Yes.
Have you reached out to her to see if
I've
maybe they
tried,
can?
but I think after a conference that I just came off of in earlier the year, ATIA, I don't know if I think I overwhelm people with my energy sometimes, so I need to learn how to hone it in personally.
Mhm.
So I'm scared to contact her at this point, personally. But I know she's a gracious person because these SE215s is thanks to her, my ears, my in-ear monitors, and it's thanks to her that I have the Shure MV7 Plus because she helped our community member, Martin E. Regan, who is paraplegic wheelchair, and we were able to get him on a piece of content that I did for my channel. But then, thanks to Shure, that they saw the power in it, and I was able to get his oxygen tank off the air and interview Martin E. Regan. So I applaud Shure for at least acknowledging that. But
Right.
I'm also afraid of partners not to. I don't want nothing for free. I want to work for it.
Gotcha. Well, okay, we can talk maybe more about that offline. Good discussion. I appreciate you clarifying what Infocom is about. Guy, let's go to the next question.
Next one's coming in from Austin, Texas. Paul Wallace asks, how would you use Sound Devices Astral Mini Plus? Longer battery, wider RF range, and IP67 protection. And he's got a link here to Sound Devices' website.
Yeah, this looks pretty cool, and I've got the product page pulled up in front of me. But Guy, what do you think of this?
Well, exactly what Harshi was just talking about, because he has a need for that specific plug-on transmitter. So in the past, we've used, electrosonics, and we've had good success. But one of the things that hurts in wireless is this stuck in a certain range, limited range. And one of the benefits of some of these higher end devices is what they call wideband. So how would you use this? Using that wideband in a trade show type environment with its RF heavy, you could do a scan and you could definitely find an open channel out of, I mean, that's the entire, that range that it does is like the entire spectrum that's the FTC or FCC will allow. And on Harshid's mic in particular, when we did NAB, we used an SM58, and man, I could tell the difference in reach between that and the MD46. If you're going to be doing those kind of interviews where you need the mic to be a little looser, like you're the one holding on to it and you don't want to shove the mic all the way in their face just because of the arm length and the comfort zone of like getting in somebody's bubble. The MD46 was designed for that. So how would I use it? I would definitely use it with a plug on. Harshy's holding up one of his mics. I would use it with my MD46. And then the other nice thing about that one is that if you are doing the outdoor style survivor, the stuff that Mickey does, with that IP67 rating, you have less to worry about if you are going to do like a wireless shotgun and have some people will do a wireless boom, and that way they're not cabled and not being held by constrained by the leash of a being directly connected to a camera op. And this is pure digital. I mean, that's the other thing is some of the stuff that's RF, I mean, it's good, but they call it the jangling keys test. If you ever took some of these older systems and you jangle keys in front of the mic, they bust apart because of the compression and decompression. With this digital stage, you don't have that. And then it sounds like that they also were able to get recording built in, which is one of those features that was under patent from Zaxcom. So it sounds like they were able to reach an agreement and have the 32-bit float in the transmitter. So that way, even if you do take a hit, it's a localized recording. So this has got to sound amazingly clean. I mean, this is like
Right.
the holy grail. It's not cheap. Yeah, it's basically what it amounts to.
Yeah, and speaking of the tuning range, I'm just showing this right now. Look at this insane range. I've never seen any wireless system with the ability to go from 169 to 1525. That is, I mean, even with the Shure Axient stuff, it doesn't do this kind of range, which is just absolutely crazy. Mickey McIntyre in the chat is saying that, as is directed at you, Guy, that there's no plug-on transmitter yet with XLR for that. So it looks like it's just like the body pack is, well, I guess we'll just take a lav mic, or it says 2 and 3 pin compatible. So it is compatible with different pin configurations. You might need some adapters depending. Interesting that, on a Pro, I guess everybody is doing this now because even Shure is doing it. But, Sennheiser and Shure have remote control capability from Bluetooth just for the initial setup, which I think is kind of cool. But it's interesting that, on pro level wireless now that everybody seems to be adding that. I'm not saying you would rely on that, but it is kind of interesting. They've got Bluetooth remote control on there as well, built-in time code generation as well. So lots of pro level features. I like the size, although it's hard to tell. It's kind of got like rounded edges. It's interesting they put an ink like a display on here. So this has got an always on display that they claim can be easily seen at all times. And one thing that I find interesting too with this thing is that it has no gain control on the transmitter. So it says they call it gain forward architecture, no transmitter gain to set. One of the things that I find frustrating with dealing with RF stuff is having to set the gain on the transmitter and then the gain on the receiver. So you got it really in two different places there, and you really have to be careful about your gain structure. That's pretty cool. I don't know how they're accomplishing that technically, but I think that's really neat. Sound devices is pretty expensive, but I know a lot of people that own them, and they say it's absolutely worth it. I know a friend of the show here, and Mickey McIntyre in the chat, saying he owns 16 channels of the sound devices stuff, and he's incredibly happy with it. So obviously a really great product when you're working at that level and you need that kind of robust reliability and control. Just a reminder, if you want to ask questions on this show, you can absolutely do that. We are live broadcasting right now, so you got to be part of our community to do that. And the best place to do that is to jump into Makana, our Q&A system. So it kind of comprised of 3 different pieces, right? So you have your question submission, you have your ability to vote up and down, which is critical because that tells us and the crew what priority you want us to answer these questions, which ones are important to you. And of course, the live chat component, that's the third part of that. And that is a great place to chat with everyone during the show and also add further context, maybe any of the questions that you are asking, because they have a limited character count as well. If you don't know how to do that, if this is your first time, just go to officehours.global/join. That's officehours.global/join. Put in your email address. We'll send you the newsletter, and that'll have the link to Makana as well as Discord and all the other stuff that we talk about on the show. Like when we say after hours, that's just a Zoom meeting, and you'll find that all in the newsletter. All right, Guy, let's go to the next question.
Next one in, David Brady, New York, asking New York Mayor Mamdani teamed up with Adam Mockler for a live Q&A that was pretty well produced using off-the-shelf text, or so it seemed. Politics aside, what does the panel think of this production? He's got a YouTube link here.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I think it fits with, where it's received, right? Like it's a YouTube feed. It's like it's not like super highly produced, but it's the video is clear and crisp. It's got the bokeh in the background, so it's pleasing to the eye. The audio probably could be a little bit better. Like it sounds a little hollow. And I don't see any lavs or any mics in frame, so they're probably using some sort of shotgun mic just off camera. And I'm guessing the room is not treated really well, and so you can kind of hear the room a little bit. But I don't know. To me, this is like your standard like YouTube video for 80% of the YouTube people who are have big followings. It's the quality is good enough, right? It's not a big huge production. It's good enough. And by off the shelf parts, I'm not sure what you mean by that, because this day and age, like everything's off the shelf. Like you can go on B&H and buy a $100,000 lens. It's so yeah.
Yeah, and before we go to Ronnie, let me just quickly show what we're talking about here. So I was just playing in here. So I don't know what cameras they're using, because you talked about gear, David, but they've all obviously got a decent camera with a good lens on there, because you get some nice shallow depth of field. Image quality wise, it looks pretty good there. Obviously this is pre-recorded. It's 1080p, but it looks pretty good. I can see a bit of the lights reflecting off his face here. I'm not sure what type of lights they were using. I feel like they could be more diffuse there, but I haven't really had a chance to watch this whole thing. I don't know if it's just him sitting here talking directly to the audience. Scroll. Okay, so they go to a two-person wide shot here, and again, more shallow depth of focus there. So anyways, that gives you an idea of what it looks like. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, this is made with a classic single camera setup. I was thinking this could possibly be made with an iPhone. The zooming is a little bit smoother. So when I'm using my iPhone on the DJI gimbal, I have a button that I can turn, or kind of a screw button, which I can use to zoom in and out, and that is pretty smooth even on an iPhone. And using shelf products for this is probably what you should be doing. I think they have a little bit more expensive camera, but what I would do, so we almost never do single camera productions. We always have at least two cameras to be able to, instead of zooming in and out between close-ups and two shots, or even wides, we use at least two cameras so that we can interchangeable select them and do the reframing on the other one instead of zooming in and out. I think zooming in and out is something you should really just do in a really difficult situation. Elsewhere you shouldn't be doing zooming. So that is my only critics for this clip in particular. I didn't have an option to listen to the audio, but I think based on the fact that they have a single camera and have a setup like this, I don't think they had too much thought about everything else that is going on, both audio-wise, even if the background is kind of cool, better than I have here at least.
All right, let's go to the next question.
Paul Wallace in Austin, Texas, asking, Telos showed 4 products at NAB. Is anyone keeping up with the broadcast radio side of NAB, or has it gone fully video and streaming? And he's got a link here to a Mix Online news product.
I read this announcement, but I haven't really dig too much further into the Telos stuff. I did hear about the announcement on the console here. So they announced a couple of things here. We actually had Frank Foti on The Last Angry DJ. He's an absolutely brilliant engineer that, most people know him as the guy that invented the Omnia audio processor, which it's not cheap, but if you have a radio station and you want really, really good sound, you want that final polished sound going out to air, everybody buys an Omnia processor these days. I can't remember how much they charge for it. I think it's $5 or $6 at least, maybe more. Let me just go to the press announcement. So there's the new console here. So it's a new compact console with, I believe it's 10 faders, 8 motorized faders, expandable to 16, with a touchscreen monitor section, same audio performance as the larger, more expensive Quasar, XR, and SR consoles. And then, of course, they talked about the Omnia processor announcement. For some reason, they don't have a screenshot of the Omnia processor. There's not much to see there. It's just really a rack mount processor. One of the cool things about the Telos consoles I like on these displays, I like their audio metering. And I like that they put a LUFS meter right on the console there, which is really cool. And so you got to remember, too, with these digital consoles these days, gone are the days of all the analog I/O being on the actual console with all this wiring hanging off the back of your console. So now they've moved to putting all of the I/O and the guts, the brains of it, the FPGA processing, all of that is now in a rack mount unit that's in a server room somewhere else. And basically, these are just control surfaces effectively, and they're just connected with just a network cable to the remote I/O in wherever it is, typically in another room. So that's how these things are normally designed now. But it's really cool stuff. I've always wanted one, never could afford it, but Telos makes good stuff. Not much else to say about that. Let's move on to the next question.
Next one in from Harshi Trivedi in Daytona Beach, Florida, asking, what keyboard companies are you down with? I don't mind Keychron or others, looking to get silent switches for mine.
Chris Sabato, go ahead.
I really liked Logitech's keyboards when they had the I don't even know what it's called, but it's like it's their proprietary wireless signal. And normally I don't like proprietary, but it just worked really well, and the battery life was amazing. I've had a couple Logitech K360s that when they were new, they were like $40. I think I paid $45 when it came with a mouse too, right? And that thing, the battery would last for over a year. It was amazing. And I spilled a little Mountain Dew on mine, and it's got a little sticky, and so I needed to replace it. And like now you can find them, but they're like $70. If I'm paying $70 for a keyboard, maybe I'm gonna get a little something nicer. And I really struggled because I wanted one with a compacted format with the 10 key. So like I want the 10 key, but I don't want the arrows. And I ended up with the Keychron, and I really like it. But I keep it plugged in because the wireless just doesn't last, and I don't want to have to be charging batteries and plugging things in, every couple of weeks. And I really like the way the Keychron feels. I really like the way it types. I like everything about it. I hate that I have to keep it plugged in, and I hate that Logitech is in. Like they switched more to Bluetooth, and the more non-proprietary. Their proprietary wireless was really, really, really good, and it's a shame that they're not really doing that anymore. And it was, you have like one dongle, and so like I have like a handful, and I still have the mouse, and there's a little dongle with it, and at work I've got like 10 of these and little dongles in there, and it's just they work. If the dongle goes away, you buy a new dongle. It pairs. It worked really well, and I'm disappointed they got rid of it.
All right, let's go to Ronnie.
Yeah, so we have numerous keyboards, and for many, many years we had a lot of different types. We let the employees choose their own favorite keyboard and just go with that. And then we moved to more like free desk seating. So we have different workstations, different types of tasks is going to be done at the different places or positions. So we need to be moving a little bit more around. And then and there, we decided to go with one type of keyboard because everyone was not kind of handling the problem with moving from one keyboard to another keyboard very well. So there was a lot of efficiency lost in pushing the wrong buttons and etc. So we standardized on Logi, and we're using the MX series. And we have both Windows versions, and we have a few Mac versions of those, even though the difference is not that big. And we also have a few, since we are a Mac kind of company first, and most of, I would say, like 90% of our machines is Mac based or Apple based. We also have a few Apple keyboards with the touch finger sensor as well, and that is so easy. And we also have in our fly packs, we also use the Logi Mini as suggested in the chat. That is actually just the same as MX. It's a much lighter keyboard. So the MX series keyboards are really heavy, and they sit very well on your desk, and they don't move around unless you kind of deliberately push it away. So that is one feature that we really liked about the MX series. It's kind of rugged and solid and stays put. But the mini ones are really much lighter, which is also good for flight weight when you are lugging that around. And the minis are kind of, we just have a lot of them, and we just throw them in there and have extras if we need to be. So that is what we have standardized for. And of course, we are not necessarily being annoyed by the clicking on the MX. I think it's kind of silent.
Yeah, and I really like, well, not really like, I don't want to make it seem like I really love Keychron. I have a Keychron keyboard. To be honest with you, the build quality, it's not fantastic. There are higher end, more expensive keyboards for sure. This one I think only costs me $60, and it's a wired keyboard. I am looking for something a little bit nicer, and I haven't decided because I feel like the keyboard mechanical thing has become a fad, and I've seen keyboards go for $300, $400 now. It's gone quite insane in the market right now. And like, I don't know anybody that wants to spend $400 on a keyboard, but I guess to each their own. Go ahead, Guy. What do you like to use?
Yeah, I would have never believed how much of a difference one can make. Sitting in front of me, I just have a cheap old Dell that came with a computer, but on my other workstation, the Joy one that I have is this one here. It's called a Razer Deathstalker V2. I have the
Oh, it's the
white one.
gaming company. Yeah.
Dude, this thing, it is a joy to type on. And the reason being is I didn't realize all the, the technology behind this, but they talk about the signal sent and the key press and the debounce delay. And there's a lot of tech that I would have never guessed that makes these things feel so smooth and fast. The other thing I like is in the top right corner, there's a volume slider. So I used to have this stuff on Stream Decks, and now it's integrated into my keyboard, so I can mute and unmute with this this button here and play and pause. So there's some software too where you can go in there and tweak this stuff. But man, I would give this one a try. It's the Deathstalker V2 by Razer, and you'll love it. It's
And
a nice keyboard.
how can you not want a product that's called Deathstalker? I love their product names, gaming companies. That's fun. Harshid.
So, we started a show. You asked me about Infocom. This is why Infocom is so critical to me. I got to feel, let's say, the Stream Deck that has a scissor switch that actually is a mechanical feeling, right? Versus a mushy switch. Well, Corsair actually owns Elgato, if we haven't know that already. They sent me a K70 at one point, and it's wired. I don't mind it. It has speed switches on it. With my MS, if my finger just hovers over a key like it did one day on a 0, I was pushing down on a 0, not knowing my fingers pushed in the downward position because it's so lightweight. It's speed switches. That's what they call them. Every keyboard has their goods and bads, as they say, pros and cons, if you want to say it better. What I'm trying to get at is, okay, Keychron has a software. I forget the exact name right now, but you basically use that to get any key macros, etc., and you can make it work. There's another few brands like the Moonlander from XSA or ZSA rather, and there's also the Glow. The Glow is a two-piece keyboard, which is again you're getting into the $200-300 as you outlined there, Alex. The thing is if I could make having silent switches on it, I could now type while I'm typing or move around, because you know that you always hear me do one of these things and one of those things. It could get pretty loud. And the fact is, silent switches, you could put them on any keyboard that allows you to hot swappable switches. So we've talked about Newfie, as Alex Lindsay used to love Newfie. We've talked about Logitech. They're great. Logitech software is great, but the price point is not always great because for an MX Mechanical, I had one. Mine's still taking vacation in India, so I'll go see it in September. But what I'm saying is, I'm still trying to replace something that works for everybody. And the fact of having silent switches, you're just switching it out. But can I see it? Can I do it? My fingers are achy with MS nowadays. So if I buy it, I have to have somebody put in the switches for me and then ship it to me, which Keychron doesn't do that on their own. So that's why I was asking. But great thoughts, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're looking for a quieter keyboard, but I really feel like the louder the keys are, it sends a signal to people around you that I'm doing something very, very important. I mean, just like classic example, like, excuse me, can't you see I'm in the middle of something? You know. All right. Just to bring in a couple people from the chat here, David Brady says my classic IBM Model M when I'm really angry. Yes, break out the IBM classic 80s IBM keyboard if you really want to sound like you're doing something important. A lot of people seem to really like the Logitech stuff, like the MX keys. Mini, mentioned by James Haldane, and Paul Vall, who says the Logitech MX Mechanical. He likes that one. That one's not going to be very quiet, though. So, yeah, lots of love for the Logitech stuff as well. All right, let's go to the next question.
Paul Wallace in Austin, Texas asks, are you ready for Beat? It's a free, local-first Mac app that puts story beats, blocking diagrams, and Claude AI on one canvas. Built by a filmmaker, no account required, no strings, and he's got a link here to beat-app.fi.
No strings. I don't know about that. It's great until somebody stops developing an app. I'm always wary about that stuff. And the name escapes me of the long time gold standard for screenwriting. I forget the name of it. It was a Mac app too that everybody used, and it's become kind of clunky over the years. But it's cool to see somebody else making something that's competitive. I think it looks really cool. It looks like a modern Mac app. I like the interface. I'm going to have to give it a try. And it looks like, yeah, Mac OS, it says free. iOS version is $12.99. That looks like that's in UK dollars, pounds, £12.99. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll have to give it a shot. Is that going to automatically make you a better screenwriter? Probably not. It's really interesting that they do mention fully open source. Okay, so that's a big deal. If it's fully open source and anybody can look at the code, so if that person isn't developing anymore, you should be able to just keep it going. So that's great. David Brady was mentioning Final Draft. That's the app that I just couldn't think of the name. Final Draft is the long time running app, but actually I don't know if they still develop that app anymore, or if they maintain it. David, if you know if they're still maintaining that up, just let us know in the chat. I'm curious. All right, let's go to the next question.
All right, Harshit Trivedi, Daytona Beach asks, I hear Magewell may not be a brand that we can use in the US, but what is a great capture card for this blind dude?
Go ahead, Chris Sabato. Is that true? I haven't heard of this.
I've not heard that either. I have several Magewell capture cards, and they are fantastic. The only caveat I would give on some of the Magewells is the lower end USB SDI requires a little dongle, and sometimes that can get a little finicky. So if you can, I would step up to the next model up. But other options are the AJA UTAP is a good option. AV Matrix makes one. It used to be Blackmagic made one, and you can't find it anymore. I think they have an update coming out, maybe, but there's nothing online of anything. So if you need if you wanted a cheap one, that's hard to find now. So yeah, I would look at AJA. If you can still find Magewell stuff some places. So Magewell is great. And
AJA is top notch.
Yeah, AJA is top notch. A little more expensive. AV Matrix is probably a little step down, but pretty affordable. Yeah, there's lots of options.
All right, Guy, go ahead.
Yeah, as a former magwell reseller, I'd be surprised if something happened in the U.S. like DJI's ban. At another place that I work with locally, we have about a dozen of this model here, the magwell 4K model for SDI capture, and it's been our go-to, as this one's just been super rock solid. So I would recommend, if you can find them. It looks like they're readily available here on Amazon, and as I searched across the usual suspects, they all seem to be readily flowing, and they're just solid. I mean, it shows up as a USB class compliant device, and I've never had an issue with them. I mean, we use them all the time and beat on them hard. I mean, they travel with us. They're really solid products.
And Harshid, what's going on? Where did you hear this information?
So what
from?
I've heard
give me your
is-
source. What's your source?
What I've heard is this is on some of the things, as far as certifications, they are not certified technically. Yes, they have a seller, reseller, distributor. I'm not. I'm just a guy that's trying to figure out what device is the best. Reason why I would choose Magwell myself, it's all software on board. I don't have to deal with drivers on a Windows machine or a Mac machine or any of that. It's plug and play. So for me, I would love to get a Magwell instead of any other brand right now. AJA doesn't sound bad, but I think there was a little a pro and con to it. Blackmagic Design, same thing. There's a pro and con to it with the drivers and things for Windows. So I prefer choosing Magwell personally, even like the Director Pro and all the other things that could maybe help me as a switcher and a capture piece. But I just heard something like this, so I come to the panel. You guys know better than I do, but I did hear some certification issues. So again, we already saw DJI. What happened there? Could this happen here? Potentially can. But is it happening? No. So I wouldn't be afraid right now. I'm not saying that what we have and haven't, but I've heard some brewing words in the communities, multiple communities, not just, that's why I say community. It's not our community, but it could be really, really just false information. But we are here to triage some of this stuff because, again, we are discussing what's what. And I prefer Magwell. AJA, I haven't tried. I just, like I said, Blackmagic Design, I already know of it, but trying to find the right tool for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. That's critical. All right, just before we move to the next question here, because we're gonna end a little early today. There's not too many questions here, so I just want to remind you, if you want to support what we're doing, if you like what you're hearing today and you like the show, there are numerous ways that you can do that. One of the things that you can do is become a volunteer on this show, as it is entirely driven by an incredible community. So we have people like everybody on the panel today who brings in their vast knowledge to answer these questions and contribute to the global think tank that is Office Hours. And of course, there are other roles available too. If you prefer to be behind the camera and be on the crew, you can do that by going to officehours.global/volunteer. That's officehours.global/volunteer. Another way you can support the show is by giving us some money by going to officehours.global/donate. That's officehours.global/donate. And because we are not for profit as well, that is tax deductible. So there you go. All right, let's go to the next question.
Harshid Trivedi, Daytona Beach, Florida, says Mimo monitors at Infocom at the Shure booth where Laura Davidson is ecutting the shot with 3 Blackmagic 4K and Allen and Heath mixer and some kind of BMD switcher. Is that a question?
It wasn't a question, but a statement or something. But if I could just speak on it. I don't know if I raised my hand there.
Yeah, we're going to do a Jeopardy thing. Please rephrase that in the form of a question. Go ahead, Harshid.
Okay, so what is Harshid Trivedi going to Infocom in 2024 and meeting Laura Davidson? First thing I did, I walked in, she hugs me. Because this community called Office Hours Global makes a show every day, and this guy showed up on this show. So because of that, I was recognized by Laura Davidson to know exactly who I am. Walked in. Mimo Monitors is a company out of Libertyville, Chicago. They came in. They made monitors. First booth I went to at Infocom. So talked to this guy Greg. Locked in the interview. Went to Shure's booth. They had a little glass room that they made up. 2 SM7 DBs. Allen and Heath mixer. They had the Blackmagic Design, the G2 maybe. I don't remember what they had. Not the G2, the one before the G2. The ISO, Zoom ISO thingamajig. And then, let's see, 3 Blackmagic Design 4K cameras. We actually used gaff tape on one of them to tape it because we needed to push it to a device that was in front of us. And I interviewed a gentleman, but the gentleman had the mic pointing at his stomach. No big deal. We had our great friend Jeff Francis from South Carolina who picked up the audio, lifted the levels. A year ago, I started my channel, and that was thanks to Shure at the Shure booth, thanks to Office Hours Global, because Tony Mobley and others in the community said, go do this. And so that's why I kind of brought in the question, but I was supposed to be in the private chat, but now you guys can hear it and support again. Office Hours Global /donate.
There you go. Very cool. By the way, did you happen to find out what type of Allen and Heath mixer was being used? Was it one of the new digital? Because they just released a whole new
2024, so not the new stuff.
It's not the new stuff. Yeah, because they just announced the new SQ Plus.
It all looks yummy.
Yeah, exactly. They refreshed that whole lineup. All right. Well, that'll be it for the Saturday show. I want to thank everyone on the panel for coming in this morning, waking up and answering all these questions. And thanks to you, the producers. That's what we call you. Yes, you put in these questions because we wouldn't have a show without you. And the back end crew, thank you very much for making this show possible. All the people that, everyone from that, who shows up to greet everyone at the door, to making sure everyone's audio and video looks okay, and to the people cutting the show and the people running all the other technical stuff on the back end for the live stream. Thank you to the work that you do. Just a reminder too, coming up after this show, we do have some meetings. So our typical, first Saturday of the month meetings, we've got a new volunteers meeting at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. And then after that at 9, we have a volunteers meeting. So if you want to find out more about joining the Office Hour show, you're not sure how to do it or how you can contribute, make sure you join. And of course, how do you find out those links to the Zoom meeting? Well, I mentioned it earlier, you got to be part of our community. So make sure you go to officehours.global/join and put in your email. We'll send you all the information that you need to be part of the show. All right. If we were to travel around the world to answer these questions virtually, according to the Telos traversal, that would have been 9,000 miles. That's 14,000 kilometers and 69 million bananas for scale. This was episode 2265. We'll see ya in After Hours. Bye-bye.
His dog named Harry and his parrot named Drew sailed in their ding, a raft-like thing, under calm blue skies. Drew began to sing.
I like the sun and I like the wind. I like myself and I love my friends. Nothing's here that can bother me. I am free. Hi, hi, hiya, hiya, ha. Hi, hi, hiya, hiya, ha.
Little boy True and his girlfriend Sue sailed the seas of their wishes and their dreams. The clouds were round with resounding sound. It filled their sails with harmonious wails.
I like the sun and I like the winds. I like myself and I love my friends. Nothing's here that can bother me. I am free. Hi, hi, hiya, hiya, ha. Hi, hi, hiya, hiya, ha. Hi, 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 hi.
everyone he knew. Sailed that thread between the living and the dead. Though the sun withdrew from our little boy true, his waning voice could still rejoice.
I like the sun and I like the wind. I like myself and I love my friends. Nothing's here that can bother me. I'm free. Hi, hi, hi-ya, hi-ya, ha. Hi, hi, hi-ya, hi-ya, ha. Hi, hi,
You can stop.
I can feel no sense of measure, no illusions as we take refuge in young man's pleasure, breaking down the dreams we make real. One down, one to go, another town and one more show. Downtown they're giving away, but you never came back. No phone can take your place if you know what I mean. We have the same intrigue as the Court of Kings. Broke out of the danger zone. Be there, show your face on another dreamy day.